咁所以今次咧，我哋要諗啦，明明中過招，點知再中招？點解呢？
點解食完飯一定要屙屎？
好，2023年第4條咧，又到梁 Sir 最中意嘅題目啦，就係睇病學 BIO啦。咁今次嘅題目呢，我哋又講翻登革熱咯，係咪似曾相識啊？佢個登革熱呢，就係呢個登革熱病毒呢所導致嘅。咁佢喺好多嘅熱帶或者亞熱帶嘅國家呢，都係風土病嚟嘅。咁登革熱病毒呢，佢就擁有4種嘅亞型十梯，而每一款嘅亞型呢，其實都能夠導致到登革熱嘅。嗱，咁 Part A 咧非常之直接啦，就問翻你，喂，登革熱係點樣傳染嘅呢？咁其實啦，成條題目就考翻啦，登革熱嘅病毒點樣由一個個體去到另一個個體呢？點樣做到呢個疾病嘅傳染呢？自不然就考翻我哋有關於媒介嘅概念啦。咁當然啦，亦都借呢個機會咧，去同大家溫下書啦，有乜嘢唔同方法去傳染疾病啦？透過飛沫啊、空氣啊、水啊、食物啊、體液啊、媒介啊，同埋直接嘅接觸啦。而唔同疾病嘅例子咧，登革熱同埋瘧疾咧，正正就係由媒介所去傳染噶啦。咁所以個答案咧就係由蚊啦或者載體啦所去傳染啦。咁呢條題目啦，有啲咩題型變奏呢？咁佢下次啦就可以問下你咯。登革熱啊、瘧疾啦、霍亂啦，究竟啦隻蚊咧係點樣傳播佢嘅呢？嗱，咁當然就唔係淨係簡單到話因為蚊咧就作為載體就去傳染個病，唔係咁簡單。你要去講啦，喂，究竟個蚊咧係點樣去pick up 到去拎得到嗰款嘅致病源嘅？無論佢係寄生蟲啊、病毒啊，定係病菌。而第二啦，就係呢隻蚊咧，佢又如何去傳播到呢隻病原體去到佢相關嘅宿主嗰處呢？例如啦，啲霍亂病菌點樣去到你身體呢？個登革熱嘅病毒又點樣入到你身體呢？致瘧疾嘅寄生蟲又點樣入到你身體呢？嗱，呢個就係講緊點樣答呢條題目嘅概念啦。然後啦，去到 Part B 咯，佢就要我哋講下兩個環境因素喺熱帶同埋亞熱帶地區呢，都係好常見嘅，而佢係會導致到啦有高一啲嘅機會去令到嗰啲人呢係感染到登革熱。當然啦，亦都要解釋你嘅答案咯。咁呢條題目啦，自不然咧就考翻我哋有關於究竟熱帶地區同亞熱帶地區嘅氣候啊、環境因素係如何呢？你諗下其中一個亞熱帶地區嘅例子啦，就係香港啦。香港出名嘅就係濕濕熱熱啦嘛，係咪？第二啦，你就要講翻呢個濕濕熱熱嘅環境因素，佢點樣導致到呢有一個高啲嘅機會去傳播到登革熱咯。咁所以首先啦，你就要知得到啦，熱帶同亞熱帶地區嘅氣候啦。同埋啦，根據翻 Part A 嘅資料啦，咦，登革熱係由蚊去傳播嘅喎，而整條題目啦，我哋講到明，喂，係能夠令到登革熱嘅傳播係好高危嘅喎，咁即係話啦，啲蚊嘅數量都應該唔少啦，係嘛？越多蚊就越大機會將呢個登革熱嘅病毒去傳播開去啊嘛，係咪？咁我哋嚟睇下整個思考邏輯咯。第一步咧，我就講下啦，喂，第一個嘅環境因素啦。香港話濕濕熱熱，第一個我哋講下熱先啦。氣溫較為高嘅，啲蚊嘅成長速率咧，或者佢哋個活性咧，亦都會較為高嘅。第二啦，就去到濕咯。當雨季嘅時候啦，就較為濕嘅。咁多啲水凼嘅時候咧，自不然啦，啲蚊咧亦都較為多嘅繁殖嘅地方咯。翻啦，多咗繁殖地方，成長速率又快，活性又高嘅時候啦。自不然啦，喺熱帶地區同亞熱帶地區嘅蚊咧，就會有較大嘅群落啦。佢哋嘅 overall population 咧，亦都會較為大一啲咯。咁多啲蚊嘅話啦，都會導致到登革熱嘅傳播機會咧，亦都會高一啲啦。好，跟住啦，嚟到 Part C 啦，咁就講翻咧，有啲病人啦，就係第一次就受到其中一款嘅登革熱病毒所感染嘅。不過啦，佢哋冇話睇醫生啊、食藥，without any treatment， 而係能夠自行康復 recover on their own。咁自不然啊，就係靠自己嘅免疫能力啦，係咪？咁所以第一部分咧，佢就問啦，講翻我哋身體嘅3款嘅紅血球係能夠幫助呢個人康復嘅。 而題目亦都問我哋啦，每一款嘅白血球究竟佢哋做咗啲乜嘢呢？咁呢個題目啦，自不然就係考翻究竟我哋嘅身體防衛系統有啲咩嘅白血球。咁第一啦，就係有非特異性防禦機制嘅吞噬細胞 phagocyte 啦。第二啦，就係特異性防禦機制嘅 B 淋巴細胞同埋 T 淋巴細胞啦。咁究竟呢三款白血球佢哋做咗啲乜嘢呢？咁記緊翻啦，當我哋話要好翻，自不然我哋就要清走啲病毒啦。咁所以啦，佢哋個動詞咧好緊要啦，就唔好淨係話啦 remove 咯。咁點 remove 法呢 OK， 而仲有一樣嘢咧想提大家嘅，由於題目講到明佢係首次被感染，所以佢之前咧係冇感染過登革熱嘅。咁所以記憶細胞咧係不包括喺當中嘅。你要答嘅咧，分別會係 B 淋巴細胞或者漿細胞啦，就唔會有 B 嘅記憶細胞喎。吞噬細胞啦，由於佢係非特異性防禦機制係冇記憶噶嘛，咁所以直接寫翻吞噬細胞就可以啦。咁去到 T 淋巴細胞都一樣喎，你可以寫 T killer cell T 殺手細胞，但係又唔可以寫 T 嘅 memory cell 喎，因為佢哋都係唔牽涉喺其中噶喎。咁啊，做咗擊破啦。B 淋巴細胞唔使審噶啦，漿細胞咧就產生抗體啦，中和翻登革熱病毒嘅粒子，或者令到病毒粒子凝聚翻啦，防止粒子進入體細胞嘅。不厭其煩啦，提下大家啦，去溫下書咯，究竟抗體同抗生素有啲咩嘅分別？第二啦，就去到吞噬細胞啦，自不然就能夠吞噬到一啲已經凝聚咗嘅病毒粒子啦。去到第三啦，就係 T 淋巴細胞咧，就能夠識別得到同埋殺死得到一個受感染嘅體細胞。嗱，留意下啦 ，B 淋巴細胞同埋 T 淋巴細胞佢哋做嘅嘢咧係好唔同嘅。T 淋巴細胞咧做嘅嘢咧係極端啲嘅。你有一個受感染嘅體細胞，即係入面已經有病毒啦，我要殺埋你，所以我先能夠清除晒喺身體入面嘅病毒粒子噶嘛，係咪？咁如果咧淨係 B 淋巴細胞嘅話咧，佢就係清除咗喺個體細胞以外嘅病毒粒子，咁係唔夠嘅。所以啦 ，B 淋巴細胞同 T 淋巴細胞咧，佢哋要合作嘅。而去到第二部分啦，佢就要我哋解釋一下咯。當一個人咧，嗱頭先佢話啦，受到其中一款嘅登革熱病毒所感染又好得翻啦，但係啦，佢仍然係會受到其他亞型嘅登革熱病毒所感染嘅。即係話啦，你唔好以為自己中咗一次登革熱咧，以後就冇事喎，你仍然有機會中招嘅喎。點解咧？呢個題目啦就係考翻我哋有關於免疫記憶嘅概念啦。喺特異性防禦機制入面，我哋有免疫記憶，而免疫記憶嘅呢個能力就係在乎於我哋嘅 B 記憶細胞同埋 T 記憶細胞，佢哋能夠記住咗、認得到喺之前感染咗你嗰隻病原體嘅抗原啦 （antigen）。咁所以我哋成日講特異性防禦機制咧，我哋係好強調嗰種抗原嘅。咁當然啦，有關於 B 淋巴細胞嘅佢製造嘅抗體，就更加係講得出抗原同埋抗體之間嗰個特異性嘅關係啦。咁呢度咧有樣嘢想提翻大家，就係有關於咧答題嘅時候唔好過分去簡化咗個概念，要去認得記得嗰款特定病原體嘅抗原咧嘅記憶細胞。無論係 B 記憶細胞定係 T 記憶細胞，有啲同學咧就講得好簡單，我哋嘅身體去認得識別到呢款抗原，唔係你嘅身體，係你嘅身體入面嘅某款細胞，佢哋係記憶細胞，分別係 B 記憶細胞同埋 T 記憶細胞。咁所以今次咧，我哋要諗啦，明明中過招，點知再中招？點解呢？最關鍵嘅概念就係喺唔同類型嘅登革熱病毒，佢哋個亞型咧，喺佢哋嘅病毒表面咧，都係有唔同類型嘅抗原嘅。所以第一句劈頭就一定要講啦，唔同亞型嘅登革熱病毒可能有唔同嘅抗原。所以啦，當一種亞型感染咗之後，所產生嘅記憶細胞未必能夠識別到其他亞型嘅抗體，就有如呢個例子啦。呢四款嘅登革熱病毒咧嘅亞型咧，樣樣都好似嘅，係咪啊？大家可能有個紅色嘅，有個綠色嘅呢嚿嘢，有個紫色嘅十字架，有呢個橙色嘅三角形，佢哋好似樣，似曾相識，我又好似認到你，但係我又唔係認得晒你。咁所以當一個人咧受到登革熱病毒亞型1所感染之後啦，佢會好翻嘅。但係當佢受到登革熱病毒亞型4感染嘅時候咧， 佢就認到少少咯，認到呢個綠色嘅抗原咯，但係呢兩個我又唔係咁認得你咯。咁所以整個特異性防禦機制，大家成日都要留意下嘅。究竟病與唔病係在乎於究竟你殺死隻病毒先，定係隻病毒殺死你先？如果你係能夠快速地殲滅到嗰啲病毒嘅，咁自不然佢就整唔到你病咯，係咪？但係如果啦，你嘅免疫反應較為慢嘅，又要認佢，你乜水嚟㗎？我明唔認得你喎？嗰啲病毒啊、病菌啊，佢咪有空間、有時間去繁殖咯。當佢哋嘅數量積聚到咁多嘅時候啦，佢就有機會導致你病咯，係咪啊？咁所以啦，喺呢幅圖咧，大家要留意嘅就係，例如啦，登革熱病毒有唔同亞型，佢哋自己又有唔同嘅抗原，即係唔同樣啦，係咪？咁其實另一款病毒，例如啦流感病毒，咁個樣都係唔同噶嘛，係咪？嗱，我都仲未計喎，其實流感病毒咧，佢都有唔同類型噶嘛，嗰啲咩 H5N1 啊、H3N2 啊、H1N1 啦，其實都係流感病毒嚟噶嘛。咁當中啦，其實就係佢哋嘅抗原都係唔同樣啊。咁所以啦，你唔好以為中咗一次流感咧就冇事啊。跟住啦，去到 Part D 咯，佢就叫我哋咧去建議翻一個預防嘅措施，係避免到咧呢個登革熱嘅傳播喎。咁呢個啦都好直接啦。當我哋知道咗登革熱係如何去傳染，透過媒介啊嘛，透過蚊啊嘛，係咪？我哋就逆向思考啦。究竟點樣可以避免到傳播呢個登革熱呢？既然啦佢係俾蚊，一二三，既然啦登革熱係被蚊咧去傳播嘅，咁自不然諗下咯，點樣唔好俾蚊針咯，驅蚊劑咯，着長袖衫咯，淺色衫褲咯，清除積水咯。咁呢啲咧都係我哋之前題目咧學過嘅。其實呢條題目咧喺我哋以前咧都見過嘅。好，咁啊嚟到一點出發啦。呢個題目咧就講登革熱嘅。第一樣啦就梗係講下佢嘅病原體啦，佢係由病毒咧所導致嘅。咁所以啦，大家咧都要去溫下書喎。由病毒啊、病菌啊、原生生物啊、真菌啊所導致嘅唔同疾病，有少少例子，大家都要記翻。其實喺第一年嘅 DSE 咧，正正就係問登革熱啦，而家又問過啦。然後啦，題目再問我哋身體防衛啦，同埋有關於傳染病嘅概念啦。咁又講埋傳染病先啦。登革熱係受到蚊啦呢個媒介啦去傳播嘅。咁媒介同帶源者又點樣分呢？之前咧有解釋過俾大家聽嘅。又或者啦，過往咧我哋另一條題目就講日本腦炎喎，日本腦炎都係受到蚊咧作為媒介所傳播嘅喎。咁所以啦，又係睇下片溫下書咯。然後啦就講身體防衛啦，我哋有非特異性身體防衛同埋特異性身體防衛啦。過往咧都有唔同題目去考翻大家啦，究竟嗰啲 B cell 啊、T cell 啊、吞噬細胞啊點樣做嘢嘅？咁又睇下片溫下書啦。跟住啦就去到預防措施咯。今次咧就淨係講嗰啲咩噴蚊怕水啊、着長袖衫啊、清理積水啊。當初2012年嘅呢條題目咧都係問緊預防措施嘅啫。咁除此之外啦，下次可以點樣問你啊？咪問下免疫記憶咯。其實今次都有問㗎。有個人啦就係中咗第一次登革熱招啦。但係唔代表佢以後唔中招嘅喎。點解呢 ？OK， 咁明明我哋嘅特異性身體防衛機制係有免疫記憶噶嘛，但係當呢個免疫記憶面對住唔同嘅病毒亞型嘅時候啦，原來啦，又好似真係認唔到你喎。而免疫記憶同埋預防措施結合嚟問啦，自不然就係疫苗啦。咁但係啦，過往都有題目問，點解疫苗會失效呢？都同呢個題目一模一樣啦。你明明中過招㗎，但係點解又中招嘅？就好似我明明打咗針㗎，點解我都會中招嘅？係啊，因為嗰隻病原體已經變咗樣啦，啲抗原咧都唔同晒啦，你咪認唔到佢咯。OK， 所以你見得到呢度咧，我擺得出嚟嘅片咧，全部都係翻炒嘅。我示範一次俾你睇啊。第一條題目2012年嘅登革熱嘅就係講預防措施，係嘛？噴啲殺蟲水啊，殺死啲滅蚊油啊。究竟啦有啲咩嘅用處咧？係嘛？清理積水啊嗰啲係咪？然後啦就去到2015年咯，就係講下咧啲抗原嘅概念。今次咧我就用翻血型嘅抗原咧去示範俾大家睇，去表達翻咧唔同嘅登革熱病毒嗰個不同嘅亞型，佢哋嘅表面係可以有唔同類型嘅抗原嘅。第二啦，就去到2017年嘅日本腦炎咯。第一條就問啦，喂，究竟啦傳播日本腦炎病毒嘅媒介係乜嘢？咪就係蚊咯。 跟住啦，去到2019年啦，製造抗體啦，就自不然就係考翻我哋有關於唔同嘅白血球細胞點樣幫我哋去對抗呢個病原體啦嘛，係咪？去到2021年啦，就係講疫苗失效啦。咁題目就問啦，原來啦呢個病原體 X 咧，佢製造呢個抗原 Y 嘅時候咧，嗰個基因咧係會突變嘅喎。突變咗之後啦，而佢哋產生咗唔同嘅抗原之後咧，其實都有機會令到你病嘅喎。其實都會有機會令到你病嘅喎。咁點解呢？正咪就係因為抗原唔同咗咯。咁所以啦，其實呢條題目呢，根本就係一個翻炒題型嘅合成秀嚟嘅啫。東抄一條，西抄一條，就係一條題目嚟噶啦。所以成日大家話溫書，唔好淨係睇本書，做下題目。因為一來係真係 check 下你自己識唔識啊，唔好覺得嘥咗份卷啊，唔識你咪學翻識佢咯。你識答嘅，咁你都知道自己識咗幾多嘢啊，係咪？你溫下書，做下題目，做下練習，係一定有得着噶。2023 Paper 1B Question 4 is also my favorite question because it's about disease approach. So let's take a look at the question. Dengue fever is an infection caused by the dengue virus and is an endemic illness in many countries in tropical and subtropical regions. And the dengue viruses encompass 4 different subtypes.And each subtype can lead to dengue fever. So for part A, very straightforward question. What is the way of transmission for dengue fever? This question is checking us the role of the vector of disease transmission. And I would like to grab this chance to help you to do some revision about the common way of transmission for different diseases. So you can see that the different ways of transmission by droplets, by air, by water, by food, by body fluids, by vectors, and by direct contact. So you can see that for the dengue fever, it belongs to the ways of transmission by vectors. Therefore, the answer is transmitted by vector or mosquitoes. So, any possible question variation? Next time, it can ask you that, okay, we know that dengue fever, malaria, and the cholera, they are transmitted by the mosquito, by the vectors. And I would like to ask you that, state how do the mosquitoes spread the disease? You cannot just say that the mosquito, they act as vector to spread the disease. No. It's so simplified. So you need to say that how do they, or the mosquito, pick up the particular pathogens, the dengue fever virus, the malaria parasite, and the cholera bacteria, something like this. And then second, you need to say that how do they, the vector, the mosquito, transmit the pathogens to the particular host, for example, human being. So that's what you need to answer. And then for part B, suggest 2 environmental factors in tropical and subtropical regions which lead to a high risk of contracting dengue fever for people living in these regions, and explain your answer. So for this case, you need to identify the climate or the environmental factors in the tropical and subtropical regions. Just like in Hong Kong, we are in the subtropical regions. It's very humid, high temperature or warm. And we need to relate the environmental factors to the high risk of the spreading of the dengue fever in these regions. Critical concept is that the climate of the tropical and subtropical regions, and recall the way of the transmission of the dengue fever in part 1 by the mosquito. So you need to think about that. So how do the mosquito survive, grow, reproduce in these tropical and subtropical regions? Any advantage for them? Any benefit for them? What if there is no benefit? How can we explain this high risk of contracting dengue fever? So let's take a look at the thinking logics. First of all, you need to state the effect of the first environmental factor on the mosquito. The temperature in the subtropical and tropical regions is higher or is warmer. So it needs to, the mosquito, have a higher or faster growth rate and more active. Secondly, state the effect of the second environmental factors on the mosquito. So in Hong Kong, it's also very humid, or in the summer, there is raining seasons. So the mosquito have more breeding grounds. And then we combine these 2 environmental factors and state the overall effect on the population of the mosquito. So the mosquito population is larger in tropical and subtropical regions, resulting in disease spreading more easily. So you can imagine that if there are more mosquitoes, so there are more vectors to transmitting or carrying to transmitting the pathogens, the dengue fever virus to other individuals. And then for part C, the patients infected with a particular type of the dengue fever virus for the first time can recover on their own after about a week without any treatment. It means that they recover by their own body defense mechanism, body defense system. So we need to give 3 types of white blood cells that aid in the recovery and describe each of their actions. So for the concept checking is talking about the 3 white blood cells which are involved in the body defense mechanism. First of all, and the second and the third types of the white blood cell is about the specific body defense mechanism, and they are B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte. And for the critical concept is that if we need to recover, that means we need to remove the virus in the body. So you need to be aware of the action verb we are using to describe the action of the phagocyte, B lymphocyte and the T lymphocyte. And one more idea, and one more reminder for you is that for this time is the first time for this patient to get infected. Therefore, memory cells are not involved in the recovery in this case because it's just the first time we encounter these pathogens, and then we do not have that immunological memory to produce the maybe antibody, T killer cell at a high rate within a short period of time. Therefore, memory cell is not involved. So let's take a look at the 3 types of white blood cell. B lymphocyte or the plasma cell, they produce the antibodies to neutralize the dengue viral particles, aggregate the viral particles, preventing them from entering the body cells. So remember that there is a short video talking about the difference between the antibodies and the antibiotics. Secondly, phagocyte, they engulf the aggregated viral particles. And for the T lymphocyte, they recognize and kill the body cells which have been infected by the virus. So you can see that for the B lymphocyte and for the T lymphocyte, B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte, they work together, they cooperate. B lymphocyte, they fight against or they focus on the viral particles in the body fluid, in the blood. And for the T lymphocyte, they add a bit more extreme. They kill and they destroy the infected body cells. But what is the main purpose? The purpose is to remove the virus in the body. So you can see the collaboration among these 3 types of white blood cells. And then for part 2, explain why people who have recovered from the infection with a particular subtype of the dengue fever virus can still be infected with other subtypes of the dengue fever virus in the future. So for this question is checking us the concept about the immunological memory involved in the specific body defense mechanism. Immunological memory is an ability of the memory B cell and memory T cell to remember the type of the antibody from the previous exposure. So you need to see that the function of the memory B cell and the memory T cells. And one thing I would like to talk about that is some students, they just oversimplify the idea. They may just think that our body can recognize the same type of antigen. No, not our body, but the particular cells, memory B cells and the memory T cells. Okay? So what is the critical concept? Different subtypes of the dengue virus would have different types of the antigens on their viral code. The different subtypes of dengue virus may have antigens different from one another. And as a result, the memory cells produced after the infection of one subtype may not be able to recognize antigen of other subtypes. So it's just like this case. So you can see that these 4 subtypes of the dengue virus. So they are a bit similar, but they are not the same. For example, they have the red circle and green trapezium, purple cross, and with the orange triangle, something like this. They look like similar, but they are not the same. Therefore, once the individual, the patient is infected by the dengue virus subtype 1, So once they encounter the dengue fever virus subtype 4, so they may recognize this green antigen, but what about the other two antigen? Sorry, I cannot recognize it. So the idea is that if you cannot kill, you cannot remove the virus or the pathogen in your body, faster they reproduce. So the population of the pathogen will be higher and greater, then it may cause disease in your body. So it really depends on who kill whom first. You kill they first or they kill you first, okay? And then you also can see that different pathogens, they may also have different types of antigen. So it's also about the specific body defense mechanism. How can our body defense mechanism recognize the antigen? And even for the influenza virus, they have different subtypes, 5N1, H1N1, H3N2, etc., etc. You need to recall the concept of the specific body defense mechanism. And for part D, suggest one preventive measure against the spreading of the dengue fever. So this question, surely we need to recall the way of the transmission of the dengue fever, and then we reverse the thinking process in order to preventing the transmission. As we know that the dengue fever is transmitted by the mosquito, the vector, so usually so easy idea, use the insect repellent, wear long sleeve clothes and trousers, wear clothes with light color, and remove the stagnant water bodies. And then let's talk about the curriculum mapping. This question starts from dengue fever, and we need to recall different types of pathogens which cause diseases. For example, this part, virus cause dengue fever. And then maybe next question asks you about the bacteria and the fungus. So you need to recall some example. We talk about the body defense and the infectious disease. Surely we can talk about the mosquito because they are the vector to transmit the dengue fever. So it's the difference between the vector and the carrier. And then in other question, it also asks about the vector as well. So remember, watch the video to do revision. And then for the body defense, we are talking about the non-specific and specific body defense. So in the book or in other questions, it always talking about the collaboration of the non-specific and the specific body defense mechanism. And after that, we talk about the preventive measures. And it's just like in the 2012 question, how can we prevent the dengue fever transmission? And for the body defense mechanism, we're also talking about the immunological memory. Can the memory B cell and T cell really recognize different virus subtypes? And we know that, sorry, it's not that possible because the antigens, they are different. And then we combine the immunological memory to the preventive measure. We can talk about vaccine. But why the vaccine? They become ineffective if there is mutation of the pathogens. So all these questions I put here, actually they just keep asking the same question. I show you that. For the 2012 question is about the prevention of the disease transmission. Can we prevent the dengue fever transmission, how it works, and then any advantage or disadvantage. And then for 2015 question, it introduces you the antigens concept for different blood group, although they are all the red blood cells. However, the antigens, they are different, right? And then for 2017 question is about the vector for the disease transmission. And for 2019 is about the function of the B cells to produce the antibodies. And then for 2012, and then for 2021 is about the pathogens when they need to produce the antigen Y. So the genes, there may be mutation. Then it will make that the mutated pathogens also infect the people. And then it can make that the mutated pathogens, they are still able to infect the people who have been injected with the vaccine containing antigen Y. And it's just like you cannot recognize different subtypes of the dengue fever virus. So I just want to show you that this question, 2023 question 4, is just a combination of different types of questions in the past. So that's why when you are doing revision, remember, also do some exercise, also do some past paper. It's never a waste to do the paper if you don't know. It's okay if you don't know that, learn something you don't know. If you know it, at least you know. And if you know how to do the question, very good, because you know that how well you learn this topic.